Hello everyone. First of all, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment on my first post. It really opened my eyes, and yeah, I think there were a lot of things I hadn't even considered before. It never even crossed my mind that Mom's relationship with Robert could have started before the divorce. Maybe she only told us about it now because it's easier and more convenient for her. The divorce is behind her, and no one would suspect anything. To be honest, I never even thought about it because, either way, I couldn't imagine Mom being capable of cheating. But now I'm not so sure anymore. Maybe she is. Anyway, it's not really my business anymore because she made it very clear that she wants nothing to do with me. The only thing that really hurts in this situation is that I can't talk to my brother anymore, and I miss him a lot. We always got along great. And it's hard for me to think that he might be Robert's son, as many of you suggested. I try not to think about it, but now that people have started writing such theories, it's getting harder and harder to ignore these thoughts. I really want to know the truth, but I'm scared. I've discussed these assumptions a lot with my grandma over the last couple of days since that post. And although we haven't come to any conclusion about the truth, it's become very difficult for both of us to look at Mom the same way. I feel like a conversation with my dad could clarify a lot, but I don't even know if he'll want to discuss it with me. It's been 4 days since Mom came over, and we haven't been in contact since. She blocked me on the very first day, and later Grandma said Mom blocked her too. That's pretty ungrateful of her. To be fair, Grandma is taking care of me without even demanding child support from Mom because she has her own money. She's doing this purely out of kindness and love for me. I can't imagine anyone giving up their well-deserved retirement to raise their grandchildren, but that's exactly what Grandma did. I think Mom should be grateful to her for that, but instead, she's blocking her. I've built up a lot of anger towards Mom, and even more questions that I still don't have answers to. I just really hope that sooner or later, the whole truth will come out. Hello everyone. This update is going to be quite long because my dad came to see me tonight. It turns out Grandma contacted him but didn't tell me anything because she wasn't sure if he would actually come, and she didn't want to get my hopes up. Anyway, he came as soon as he found out that Mom got engaged to Robert. There were a lot of revelations, and I'm still trying to process everything. I was really surprised by Dad's visit, and even more so when he hugged me and said he was very sorry. Eventually, he sat me and Grandma down and started telling us everything he knew. He said that he and Mom started falling out of love a long time ago but stayed together for my sake because they didn't want to break up the family. Then, about 3 years ago, Dad started an affair with a colleague. He really wanted to tell Mom but never found the courage. In the end, Mom found out on her own about a year ago and filed for divorce then. She told him she would keep it a secret only if he stayed away from us. She laid out a whole list of conditions. He had to leave the house entirely to her. She would get full custody of me and my brother, and although he would have visitation rights, he wouldn't be able to use them until she allowed it. She also demanded huge alimony and a property settlement, and he agreed to all of it. The only thing he wanted in return was for her to keep his affair a secret and never tell me, because he didn't want me to hate him and think of him as a cheater. Until now, Mom had kept her word, but at the cost of me having no contact with him. He also apologized for always being a workaholic and never making enough time to build a close relationship with me. But, according to him, Mom is partly to blame for that too. She always wanted more, so he had to work non-stop because the lifestyle she demanded was something he couldn't afford without an exhausting work schedule. He said it wasn't an excuse, but he still wanted me to know that the blame wasn't solely on him. I kind of understand that, but it's still hard for me to accept. But anyway, he said the reason he broke his promise to Mom and came to see me without her knowledge was that in the message Grandma left him, she mentioned Robert and wanted to ask if Dad knew him. That's why he rushed over. Dad not only knew Robert but also knew exactly what kind of person he was and wanted to warn us. It turns out Mom, Dad, and Robert all hung out in the same circle back in college. My parents were already a couple back then, but Robert was always in love with Mom, and right before graduation, when they all went out for drinks, Robert confessed his feelings to her. At the time, Mom was dating Dad, so of course she rejected him, but she only told Dad about it 2 weeks later, adding that she was confused about her feelings. Because of this, they decided to take a break. According to Dad, their break lasted almost 2 months, and during that time, Mom went on a few dates, including with Robert. But nothing good came of it. Eventually, she got back together with Dad. When they got back together, Dad told her to cut off contact with Robert because it made him uncomfortable, and for a while, she agreed. However, later that same year, he found out she was still talking to him, and it led to a huge fight after which they almost broke up. Then Robert showed up at Dad's house after that fight. They got into a physical fight because Robert thought it would impress Mom. Instead, it just made her angry at him for the violence, especially since she had already clearly said she just wanted to be friends and nothing more. In the end, she cut him out of her life for good. Dad said Robert was always unstable and a terrible person. After Mom stopped talking to him after college, he moved away, and no one heard anything about him. But now Dad thinks that Mom and Robert got back together a couple of years ago because she mentioned once that she heard from friends he was back in town. He's not sure exactly when Mom started talking to Robert again. But if they're engaged, it definitely means she was cheating on him too, and all the conditions she set during the divorce automatically became void. Dad said he plans to talk to Mom directly, but before that, he wanted me to meet with her myself and find out everything. He promised he would wait, and then, after my conversation with Mom, he could proceed as he saw fit. I'm still trying to process this, and my head is a complete mess because I don't know who to believe. It seems like one of my parents has been lying to me, and this whole story is just a huge mess. So, I finally talked to Mom, and I didn't tell her about meeting with Dad. I just wanted to talk to her separately and hear her side of the story. She had blocked me, so I had no other choice but to show up unannounced. Dad visited me 3 days ago, and yesterday I finally gathered the courage to talk to Mom. She was surprised to see me at the door but invited me in. Luckily, Robert wasn't home, so I could talk to her freely. First, I apologized to her, but it was just for show to get her to talk openly. I beat her on the bush a bit and said it was hard for me to accept Robert into our family so quickly, which is why I acted the way I did. Then I got to the point. I hinted that the whole thing looked suspicious too convenient that Mom met such a great guy right after the divorce. It was the perfect opportunity for her to admit that she knew Robert from college, but she didn't. She just said she was very lucky to have met him. That's it. I knew for sure that Dad hadn't lied about them knowing each other in college because he has photos. The only thing I wasn't sure about was the details of the story he told, but as soon as Mom brazenly lied to my face about never having known Robert before, I knew who to believe. But then Mom made things worse by saying she never intended to tell me the reasons behind her quick engagement and move with Robert. She said it was because she wanted to forget everything related to my dad and erase him from her life. And then she told me about his affair, the very secret Dad sacrificed everything for, in exchange for her promise that I would never find out. After that, I saw no point in continuing the conversation. I just told her we'd see each other again, and left. As soon as I walked out, I called Dad and told him he was free to do whatever he wanted because now I knew the truth and knew he hadn't lied to me. So now Mom will finally get what she deserves. I'm not saying Dad is suddenly a saint, or that he's completely innocent, but at least he's not as awful as Mom.